Hey everybody, welcome in. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Also go ahead, like the stream, and if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and consider sharing with somebody as well that you think might find it interesting or useful or helpful or any of that fun stuff. And like usual, we'll give it about 5 minutes or so for everyone to trickle on in. And then we'll get started. While we're waiting, though, what you're watching now, that is the loop of our latest GFS model from now through about the 12th. And you can kind of see the two distinct systems that we're going to talk about tonight. Obviously, the big one ongoing now, and then a potential another big one right there that could be on the way for about this time next week, even a little less than that, really 5 to 7 days from now. So, a lot to talk about, a lot going on, and a lot we will get into. I'll also go ahead and I guess answer some early on questions here. Let me know where you're watching from as well. That's going to make this easier on me for sure. All right. Let's see what we got going on. I'm going to kind of multitask here and use my phone at the same time and all that fun stuff. Will Southwest Virginia see snow or ice? Yes. Probably a little bit of both, mainly ice in Southwest Virginia. It might start as a little bit of snow and then change over to ice. Might even change to rain at one point if that warm sector really, gets warm. How much snow do I think Southern Maryland will get? If you're in like the Delmarva of Southern Maryland, you could get pretty good amount of snow. The sleet will be the problem if it mixes in, but I think that's a good 4 or 5, maybe 6 inches in the southern part of Maryland. Looking like an ice storm in North Atlanta, question mark, maybe too warm. Yeah, we'll see next week. I think we are going to have ice problems, snow problems, kind of all of the problems at the same time. Looking pretty likely for portions of the South next week. I don't think it's going to be a clean all snow event for Georgia or the Carolinas right now. Now, could that change? Absolutely. But generally, these things actually trend a little bit warmer for us rather than colder. But yeah, definitely could run into icy problems in North Georgia next week. Is the storm shifting north? The storm next week? Maybe. The storm right now, it's really, I mean, I think we're pretty locked in with a pretty good track. I don't think it's going to go much further north or much further south. Good evening, everyone. Again, everyone just now tuning in. Welcome. Go ahead, like the live stream, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll get started in a couple of minutes. We'll kind of break everything down. Kind of something new that I guess I could pull up now that I normally don't have, and while I answer some questions. This is a traffic camera in Kansas right now, and that's not rain on the camera. That is good old-fashioned ice. We're running into pretty big time ice problems out that way, and I've seen plenty of reports from different troopers and that sort of thing that are definitely seeing that problem out there. So let's see if I can get that back to where it's supposed to be. Oh, there we go. It looks right now, I guess. Okay. Hopefully that stays where it should be. All right, I'll keep answering some questions here. And like I said, we'll get started in a moment. Just going to give plenty of time for everyone to slowly trickle on in. So let's see what we got. How much snow in Topeka, Kansas? That's a good question. I should probably know where in Kansas Topeka is. I know it's a pretty big city. I don't know if it's in the northern part, the southern part. Let's check. Oh yeah, Topeka, you're in the sweet spot. I think half a foot to a foot, even 8 inches to 12 inches, probably even more narrow that down. So a lot of snow in Topeka for sure. In fact, blizzard warnings now in effect for Topeka, I believe. So yeah, you're going to get a good there for sure. Come on, Gerald, get some activity up to Michigan, please. Yeah, Mike, I wish I could, but to be fair, y'all had a lot of that lake effect in November, so I think it's time everyone else kind of gets in on some of the fun. Michigan can't win out all the time. Will there be power outages in northern Cincinnati? Absolutely could be, especially, just Cincinnati in general, absolutely. It's going to be mainly snow there. Some sleet might mix in, but big snow totals in Cincinnati, I think. So yeah, could run into power outages for sure. South Jersey, going to get some snow in South Jersey. I think that's one of the underrated places a lot of people aren't thinking about, but could get a lot of snow is South Jersey. I wouldn't be surprised someone gets half a foot, especially kind of, you don't want to go too far south that maybe ice might mix in, but pretty far south into Jersey. Pretty good snow out of this one for sure, I think. And that also, I mean, Philadelphia, Philly, that's a place that it's going to be close. You're going to be right on the line between a lot of snow and lower amounts of snow. Not going to deal with ice there, but the question will be how far north can that wintry precipitation get? Welcome into everyone that's just now coming in. Again, we'll get started in just a moment with the forecast, but just kind of going to talk a little bit here at the beginning, answer some questions, and all that. Did we catch a prediction for lower Bucks County, Pennsylvania? Same story, I think, as Jersey. Philly's a tough forecast. I would say about 2 to 4 inches in Philly, but there's very real world where you're on the higher end. You could even get 6 inches. That's a very real possibility. Just a little wiggle north in the storm track would up your totals big time. South Central Kentucky, big ice storm for sure. 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch of ice could be a problem there. Do you see the next system possibly tracking a little more north, hitting Tulsa, Oklahoma? It has trended that way. Oklahoma wasn't big on the snow a couple of days ago in the models, now uptrending. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of days, but it's gotten better for snow lovers in Tulsa for sure. St. Louis snow totals, I'm going right around 4 inches. I think between the front end and the back end, we'll say 4 to 6 inches. How about that in St. Louis? Higher in the northern suburbs, potentially a lot higher. Lower in the southern suburbs, potentially a lot lower. More like 2 to 4 inches compared to 4 to 6. Yeah. Any ice for Henderson, North Carolina? A little bit, maybe Phillip, but I don't think it'll be a big deal for you. I think worst case, a glaze to 1/10 of an inch in Hendersonville, North Carolina. Newport News, Virginia, mainly rain, but on the backside, potentially some snow, I think, in Newport News. How much snow is Hazleton in PA going to get? Well, let's see where that is. I want to say that's in northern Pennsylvania. Let me pull up the old map here. Actually, that's a little bit further south than I thought. Hazleton, yeah, you're kind of, it's going to be tough to get significant snow there. Maybe a dusting upwards of a couple of inches, but I won't expect big snow in Hazleton out of this one. Now, next week, watch that one. That one could break it for you. I appreciate that donation, Mark Smith. He says, glad to support you, Gerald. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. It means a lot. All right, I think that's enough of me rambling on. Let's start talking actual models and all that fun stuff and get on into it. So what are we going to start with? Let's see. I guess the best thing to start with would probably just be radar right now. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, this is current radar over the places that are seeing it right now, from Kansas to Missouri to Nebraska. I'll zoom out even more. We've even got snow up into Montana and portions of Colorado, Wyoming, the Dakotas. The storm's getting its act together, and we've seen a big uptick in precipitation over the past little bit. Also, I just realized I did not have my pen pulled up, so let me pull up my drawing utensil here. In 1 second while that loads, you'll even see it pop up there, hopefully. Yeah, perfect. Awesome. There we go. So yeah, we're starting to see radar fill in here. Snow beginning to break out in southern Nebraska, Lincolnton, Beatrice, areas like that, still holding on to ice in Kansas City. And I've told you all week this was a concern of mine, that Kansas City would get a lot of ice and then snow at the end. And I think that's kind of what's playing out here on the models, or excuse me, really just in the real-time observations. Starting to see snow break out into other parts of Missouri, Jefferson City, St. Louis, Farmington. Down here, Farmington, Jefferson City, St. Louis, don't get too excited with this snow. I know you're going to think, all right, maybe the models were wrong. It'll be a big snowstorm down that way. It'll change the ice. And what we're seeing in Kansas City, that warm nose is going to work your way and unfortunately kind of ruin some of that nice snow. But definitely seeing radar begin to fill in, and it's starting to get exciting out there, or not exciting, I guess, if you're not a fan of ice, which I don't blame you. I wouldn't be either. So definitely going to run into that problem. If you're just now joining us, welcome everybody. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. Like the stream. and consider sharing with somebody. Next little bit we'll talk about is this, and this is brand new, hot off the press this evening. Blizzard warnings issued from Kansas City to Topeka, Wichita, Salina, and into Manhattan, Kansas, even all the way back into Hayes. This is a big area of blizzard warnings, and trust me, folks, you're going to feel this one. This is not going to be just a little snow event. You're going to get all this ice, then the snow on the backside, and as that snow on the backside is falling, the wind is going to pick up, and it's going to be blown around, and that's why we have these blizzard warnings. We're talking wind gusts 40 to 50. With potentially more than a foot of snow on the ground right into this region specifically. Topeka, and then back into kind of the St. Joseph area. Big snow totals on the way, and that's why we have the blizzard warnings. Now we'll move it eastbound. All this pink you see: Jefferson City, St. Louis, Springfield, Indianapolis, Louisville, Cincinnati, Charleston, and then into DC, and not quite Baltimore, but I think you'll get there by later tonight. These are winter storm warnings. That could be for snow, that could be for ice, it could be for either or. And these little pink, or I guess purple rather, boxes you see into southern Missouri, southern Illinois, portions of western Kentucky, those are ice storm warnings. Not going to see a whole lot of snow down this way. And just to name some towns, this does include just south of Farmington over to Cape Girardeau, Carbondale, Owensboro, right along the Ohio River here, just north of Paducah, and just north of Poplar Bluff as well, seeing these ice storm warnings. So if you're watching from there, definitely let me know, but you're going to get it good. A lot of ice, a quarter of an inch, half an inch, isolated spots. I would not be surprised to see an inch of ice, and that's more than enough to bring down power lines, cause massive travel issues, and all that good stuff. So I say good stuff, obviously not good stuff, but it's a metaphor. All right, so that's kind of what the map looks like now. I'll zoom out one more time. We'll kind of park it on this for a second, and let me go back to reading a couple of questions here and any other important things I might have missed. All right, we got a $5 donation from Darth Cornpop. Says, "Sigh, Columbia, South Carolina here, getting nothing but rain again. It's like we have some invisible force field which just will not allow us to get snow." Yeah, it feels like that. We'll still watch the storm next week. It's not impossible for Columbia, but I'm really favoring areas up through Tennessee, Kentucky, Arkansas, back towards Dallas, into the mid-Atlantic, potentially parts of the Carolinas, the mountains specifically. It could turn into an I-85 north storm. We'll see. And actually, this gives me a chance. Let me pull something up for you guys that I thought was kind of funny. You can look at this traffic camera again while I do it. Was kind of maybe not funny for my folks in the Carolinas, but I made a meme earlier that I posted on Facebook and on Twitter. So let's see if I can find it here. I thought it was funny. At least we'll find out if you think it's funny. All right, here it is. Let me pull it up. Okay. All right, let me switch it to it here. So it's kind of hard to read a little bit here, but it's the one on the right says Nashville getting another snowstorm, and then it says the Carolinas on this one. And that's how the past couple of winters have felt. So hopefully you find that as funny as I do. But yeah, the storm next week definitely trending more towards the Tennessee River Valley, the Ohio Valley, Carolinas. The mountains I think are definitely in it. I-85 north, I'm watching. I-20 corridor, we'll see. Maybe it could trend back that way, but I don't know. I thought that was funny. I made that meme, so hopefully you also find it to be just as funny as I think it is. All right, so back to the actual storm. And again, thanks for the donation. I do appreciate that very much. All right. Also, a $10 donation from Aaron Wilson, or I guess Super Chat is what they're technically called. I'm sorry, I'm not big on the whole streaming lingo, but thank you so much for that one as well. I appreciate that very much, Aaron. All right, so this is new from the Weather Prediction Center. This is their Winter Storm Impact Index. Basically, it's kind of a computer model. It's really more of, imagine an Excel sheet where certain numbers get punched in, and this is the outcome it gives based on ice accumulation, wind, snowfall, all that stuff. And they're calling for extreme impacts in some places, specifically southern Indiana, right here along the Ohio Valley, the Ohio River itself, really into portions of Kentucky. Big ice on the way. That's why you see the extreme impacts there. Yeah, granted, we'll get more snow back here where it's red, into northern Missouri, northern Kansas, and portions of Illinois. That red there, that's for a foot plus of snow potentially, but it's the ice that's going to bring the extreme impacts. We're talking days without power potentially, impossible travel for a while, because I'll remind you folks, remember back during Christmas, I was telling you about that cold Arctic air coming. Yeah, it's coming right after this storm. Now, it might not be record-breaking cold, but it's gonna be cold. We're talking single digits, even around zero, wind chills below zero. So that ice is not melting. The snow's not going to melt. It's gonna hang around, and that's why these impacts could be long-lasting. And then even big impacts into the mid-Atlantic, seeing major impacts in the DC and Baltimore metro, more minor impacts to moderate impacts into Philadelphia and South Jersey. And then you'll notice kind of a fine line here right along whatever parallel they drew from North Carolina to Tennessee. Everywhere south of here, more of a rainfall event, not so much an ice event, although could see some ice in the mountains of North Carolina, the Cumberland Plateau. And I'll also add a severe weather threat into Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi. I wouldn't be surprised to see multiple tornado warnings tomorrow afternoon out of this system. So going to run into that problem as well. All right, I am going to continuously say it, but if you're just now joining us, welcome, and go ahead and like the stream, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and yeah, we'll go ahead and start breaking down some model guidance in just a moment. So I guess while I continue to answer questions, let's go back to the traffic camera, and I'll let that keep on going. I'll keep on answering some stuff here. When will Oklahoma get snow? Potentially next week. Potentially, not guaranteed, but potentially. But there's a lot of winter after that to go as well. So actually, I just realized I can look at the computer because I have the stream frozen right now. So that works out well. All right, had a donation from Crystal Reagan. Thank you very much, Crystal. I appreciate that. Or super chat. Again, I'll get it right eventually. All right, what other comments do we have here? I live not far from UNC Chapel Hill. What's it look for us besides rain? Any snow? Rain out of this system. Next system, we're watching for potentially ice or snow or something like that up into the triangle of North Carolina. Nothing set in stone. We'll show you that later on in the stream, though. All right, let's see. Gladstone, Missouri. Thanks for watching. Again, Crystal, I appreciate it. Hello, Kimberly, watching from Grand Haven, Michigan. Kimberly, a longtime viewer on the channel, so I appreciate you sticking with me, Kimberly. Rochester, New York, snow amounts and low temp number. It's gonna, well, you might get some lake effect in Rochester. This storm isn't gonna be for you. Low temp number, we could definitely get down into the single digits with this cold air mass for sure. A lot of people watching from Kansas and Missouri, love to hear it. Obviously, the storm's gonna impact you folks arguably more than anybody else. So it's good that you're tuning in and getting this information. Got a report here, Overland Park, Kansas, snow accumulation, please, or maybe not a report, but a wish. I think on the backside, hopefully, you get some snow. Icy spots on the roads, northern Maryland, I believe it for sure. Is Boston immune from this storm? Probably. The next storm, we had some crazy model runs this afternoon that brought a nor'easter, even a blizzard up into Boston by next week. So we'll watch the trends, but definitely stay tuned for that for sure. EPS ensembles trending upward for San Antonio, now at 22 out of 50. Yeah, we'll see if somewhere that far south in Texas can get it. I definitely think Dallas is probably going to be the hot spot right now, but we'll see if it trends better for you folks down that way as well. All right, here we go. Let's look at some models. We'll start with the high resolution rapid refresh model. I'm going to refresh the page too, which is funny, that's what the model's called. So, all right, here we go. This is this evening, basically what we're seeing now and what I showed you on radar. Ice beginning to continue and pick up in pace over Kansas, Missouri, snow working in. It's really by tomorrow morning, though. This is late tonight. I'll pause it right about here. This is 12Z, so this is early morning, probably even still before the sun has come up. This is when that snow line is going to crash down. So between now and sunrise tomorrow, mainly going to still be ice in Kansas City. Ice in areas kind of south of Kansas City here, Topeka, still going to be dealing with ice. But by tomorrow morning, that cold air begins to funnel in. If I could draw an arrow to save my life, that would really help. I promise. I know what an arrow looks like. But that cold air funnels in on the backside of the storm, and that's going to change some of that ice over to heavy snow, blinding snow, blizzard-like conditions as the wind picks up. This is late morning, early afternoon, all snow by the afternoon, definitely in Kansas City, Topeka. It's going to start to pile up. You're going to start to feel it. And it's going to continue into the evening hours and into the overnight. And that's whenever we'll kind of see it taper off later on. And I had the order mixed up a little bit here, so let me change it up here. Let me just go ahead and talk about each area individually. So let's pull this over here, and let's pull this over here as well. So looking at snowfall totals, this is straight from the National Weather Service. This is not some college meteorology major coming up with numbers. And I agree with these numbers as well from the education that I do have. I will throw that in there. So definitely agree with the experts on this one. But showing a big area of more than a foot of snow in northern Kansas, northern Missouri, big totals, 11 inches, 13 inches in a couple places. Kansas City, that's where it gets tough. That's where the forecast becomes not a nightmare per se, but somebody's going to be right and somebody's going to be wrong. NWS going with about 8.5 inches. It looks like right there in Kansas City. That could be right. I would go a little lower. I think this ice is going to hold on a little too long. It's probably a little closer to 5 or 6 inches, but in the grand scheme of things, 6 inches versus 8 inches, it was a big winter storm either way. So, don't throw your local Mets under the bus and go easy on anybody who's wrong, including me, preferably, if you want to go easy on me. Although I can handle the heat too, and I've had plenty of not so nice comments over my time, so that's okay too. But you get the point. Big snow into northern Missouri, northern Kansas, lower totals south of there, where we could see snow on the backside, but mainly an ice storm here in the south eastern part of the state and southern Missouri. And speaking of that area, ice. Here's the forecast for ice from the National Weather Service. Big totals you'll see in here. This is 1/2 inch to an inch in these darker colors back towards Farmington into southern Kansas here. Kind of a big area of some of those more higher end ice totals. Widespread 1/2 inch, I think. Couple places 3/4 of an inch. Somebody might get an inch of ice. Would not surprise me by any means. And that'll obviously cause major impacts to travel. So if you're traveling through basically anywhere in Kansas or Missouri outside of maybe extreme southern Missouri, right along the Arkansas border, you're going to run into problems overnight tonight and into tomorrow. All right, so that's that area. Hopefully we got the information down. Everyone's got that taken care of. Let me go back and see what else we've got in the chat. Appreciate the super chat, Marcello, or Marcello. I knew a Marcello, and I think that's how he spelled it. So hopefully that's right. Oh yeah, it is Marcello. Harper's in the chat. I got you, Marcello. There you go. That didn't even connect the dots. It's good to see you. Hopefully you're doing well. It's funny. I didn't even connect the dots until I said it and then reread it. So thanks for the super chat. How bad will road conditions be for Springfield, Missouri? Probably not great. I can guarantee that. Let me go back to this so I can pull up. Actually, no, we'll do this on the fly. Let's zoom into Springfield on some maps for you. Pull up the fun weather data. All right, so Springfield's down here for anybody wondering. This is down near Joplin, south. Let me do directions in my head. Southwestern Missouri. Let's just go ahead and read your winter weather advisory. How about it? We'll do this on the fly. See if I can. Well, I'll just read it out loud to you. Impacts, plan on slippery road conditions. There you go. There's your answer. Yeah, it'll be icy down there in Springfield. So expect that for sure. All right, what other comments we have? Also, we've got like almost 800 people in here. 700, 800. I appreciate that, everybody. Very active Saturday night here for sure. What's going to be the worst state to get hit by snow out of this first storm? I think the highest total probably going to come out of Kansas or Missouri. A runner-up would be maybe Illinois, and then a sneaky kind of dark horse pick would be into West Virginia, Maryland. Somewhere in there could get some big totals out of this. There probably won't be any mixing in a couple places out that way. Could see big totals. So definitely somebody's going to get more than a foot, though. I feel pretty confident in that. All right, let's go ahead and move the map east, start talking about the Ohio Valley a little bit, so we're not here till midnight, because I know a lot of folks from a lot of areas watch it. Again, this is the latest high-resolution rapid refresh model. It's one of my favorite weather models to use. I think it does pretty good in most setups, and I think it's handling this one pretty well as we've gotten into kind of the final stretch here. All right, this is tomorrow morning. Ice breaking out south of St. Louis. We've got snow into Illinois, northern Missouri, like we talked about. Snow beginning to work into Indiana. Indianapolis could get some good snow out of this. Kentucky, it's one of those states. I don't want you to get too excited at the beginning here. You see all this blue breaking out. I think we're going to start with snow in even places like Louisville, Lexington, even southern Kentucky. Heck, I wouldn't be surprised a quick burst of snow, maybe even into northeast Tennessee. But watch what happens. The storm approaches, and that dreaded low-level jet that's bringing that warm air in the mid-levels and lower levels begins to kind of mess with your snow a little bit by the afternoon. It's changing over to ice with that pink and that purple, and that's when the full-blown ice storm will begin. Now, another thing I'm watching, late tomorrow evening, a little bit of a dry slot showing up here into central Kentucky. What's happening is our main lifting mechanism is the warm front. So the warm front is right in here on the model. I'll indicate it there, and then our cold front's back here. I'll try to draw it out for you. So what's happening is all of the lifting mechanisms is ahead of this. The way a warm front works, I could probably pull up a picture, but I don't want to go digging through the internet, but basically it's a block of warmer air that's running into the cold air, and it's moving that cold air up and over it, and that's the lift that's creating the clouds and the precipitation. So if you're back here already in the warm pocket, nothing's getting moved. So it's just kind of warmer than everywhere else. You're not really getting the lift. So we'll see if that pushes far enough north. That could cut down on some ice totals in here. We will watch. Another thing, look at this tomorrow evening. If you're watching in the Mississippi River Valley from Arkansas, the state of Mississippi, up through Memphis, down into Louisiana, the great state of Louisiana there, we could run into tornadoes for sure. I think we have an enhanced risk currently. That is a level 3 out of 5. And it's going to cause problems for sure down that way. So go ahead and prepare for that as well. A crazy thing for a state like Arkansas, tomorrow we're going to probably have a tornado watch and winter weather advisories all in the same state at the same time. It's classic January in the deep south, I reckon. But that'll definitely be a problem for you folks. Keep on moving here. Actually, let me refresh the page. It's running a little slow on me. Let's get back ahead. All right, so Sunday evening, there's that little dry slot I mentioned. The HRRR fills it back in quickly, and we've got kind of a state divided in Kentucky. The southern half looks to change back to rain by the evening tomorrow, and it's not going to be a nice rain. If I take a sounding over southern Kentucky here, our surface temperature 43. So, not nice by any means, but what I will say, that's a sharp temperature gradient. If you're running a temperature of 43 to 45 down in southern Kentucky, and then you're running about 32 in central Kentucky and about 25 up in Cincinnati. I mean, folks, that's a sharp gradient. The winds are going to be whipping that on top of the ice. Yeah, you're going to run into power outages for sure, right through central Kentucky. And then all snow up into central Ohio, really southern Ohio, southern Indiana. Cincinnati, that's a place I could see big snow totals, half a foot, 8 inches. Couple places getting closer to that 10-inch mark in the area. That'll cause their own power outage problems during Sunday afternoon and evening. Then later through the night, you're going to get a lull in a place like Kentucky. It's going to calm down. The winds will still be whipping, but precipitation will become lighter. That warm nose pushing even further north, getting ice up into Cincinnati. That'll compact some of the snow by the end of the storm. But then late overnight Monday, and you're waking up, or late overnight Sunday rather, into Monday when you're waking up, look at this nice little band of snow on the backside. Not huge, but enough to probably drop a quick coating to 1 to 3 inches in some places back into Kentucky and into Louisville, Cincinnati, southern Indiana, southern Ohio, and then by Monday afternoon, that's still lingering, but clearing out. All right. A lot of chats going on, a lot of people saying a lot of things. So let me try to catch up here and get back to it. In fact, let me go ahead and change this back to our traffic cam, and I will read some comments. All right, where were we? Also, if I miss a chat, I apologize. There's a lot of them, and unfortunately, I can't answer quite all of them. Any idea how flights out of Baltimore Monday morning might be? Delays, probably cancellations. Thanks. Well, that's a great question. I'll be honest, I've never flown on a plane. In fact, I have my first flight scheduled for next Friday. I'm supposed to go from Charlotte to New Orleans for a meteorology conference. So I am also wondering about flights, but for the next storm. I imagine Baltimore is probably pretty well equipped to deal with it. However, I think you said Monday morning is the time you said. Let's see if I can find it again. Yeah, I think you said Monday morning. Yeah, there we go. So the storm will still be happening Monday morning. That'll be really the beginning of it. So that could cause problems. If anything, it's probably just going to get canceled. It's either going to fly or not, would be my guess. I don't know on their criteria. But yeah, good question. That's something I'm also very curious about. He looks like the older brother from Malcolm in the Middle. Yeah, I've heard that one before. Only on this channel, though, from multiple people, though. Serious question, Gerald. How bad is it really going to get for Southern Illinois, Marion, Illinois, to be exact? Let me find out where in Southern Illinois Marion is, but I can tell you anywhere in Southern Illinois is going to get it pretty rough. Marion, Illinois. Illini. It's always fun for me to say Illini. The Fighting Illini, that's a fun name for a school. Yeah, probably big ice there, and then snow as well. So it'll be pretty bad. It'll be rough. And it's been a couple years, I think, since y'all have had a big one. And this definitely constitutes as a big one. So yeah, big problems there. How much snow will Glen Carbon, Illinois get? A super chat there. I appreciate that. Well, let's check it out. And since you gave the super chat, let's go a little more in depth on that forecast for you. Glen Carbon. Let me find out where that is exactly, and then we can go really in depth for you, since you were ever so gracious to give that. All right, so for anybody wondering, Glen Carbon is just outside of St. Louis. So let me pull something up really quick for you, and I think this will kind of put into perspective how difficult of a forecast this is for you. I'm about to get really nitty-gritty in the meteorology. These are called plumes, and I'm going to use it for just south of St. Louis, kind of where Glen Carbon is, that on that side of the city, and I'll show you the total snow. So let's pull this up. It's kind of ugly to see, I know, but just to give you an idea, the highest members say you're going to get about 8 inches of snow in Glen Carbon. The lowest members say you're going to get an inch. So you see that range there? That's what makes this forecast tough. I think ice will definitely mix in there. I would say you're going to be probably somewhere in this range. I know you can't quite see the key, unfortunately, but that's about 3 or so inches. So 3, 4, 5 inches if you're lucky on the higher end of that. But yeah, going to run into ice problems there for sure. That's going to cut down on your totals. I appreciate that big super chat, Bruce. Thank you so much. Yeah, all the snow numbers you see are in inches, everybody. Thanks for watching from Dayton, Ohio, Crystal. I appreciate it. Do you think North Alabama will get ice or snow? Northern Alabama, I mean North Alabama, not so much Birmingham, but up towards Huntsville could get some sort of winter weather by next Thursday, Friday. We'll talk about that towards the end of the stream. So with that said, let's keep on trucking along here because we're making pretty good progress. Let's go ahead and did I talk about totals in here, or did I just show the models? I don't think I talked about totals, so let's do that. All right, snowfall totals in the Ohio Valley. I probably should have done this earlier. This is the blend of models, a big signal here right into central Indiana, central Illinois. By the way, that question we got was from right in here, basically. And you notice the spread gets very quick. It gets very tight, I guess, the gradient here. So just south of you, the models say like 2-3 inches. Just north of you, they say, nearly a foot. So that's why you're kind of right stuck in the middle there. Very tough forecast for that question there out of that town. But Indianapolis, I'd say 8 to 10 inches of snow is a fair bet out of this one. Cincinnati, probably about the same. You could run into ice at the end. It tapers off a little bit here into Ohio, eastern Ohio into West Virginia. The reason for that is the storm's going to begin to phase a little bit, as we say. So the original energy is going to weaken and kind of die out here over the apps, but then a new energy is going to pick up off the coast, and that'll re-enhance snowfall across the Delmarva, Maryland, DC, and potentially southern New Jersey. So these are snowfall totals, lower totals, obviously here where the ice begins to cut in into the southern half of Kentucky and Missouri. But a lot of folks are going to get some pretty good snowfall accumulations out of this one. Ice totals, yeah, this is going to be a problem, obviously. Kind of same thing. Right through the Ohio River Valley, I think, is going to get the worst of it. About half an inch for many folks. Some places a little more, some places a little less. That's just the way it goes. So, All right, with that said, let's go ahead and sneak on into the Mid-Atlantic. In fact, it would help if I actually showed the model for the Mid-Atlantic first. Where do I have that hidden? Here it is. Now let me move this way. All right, that'll work. Right. Where am I? Okay, here we are. Sorry. All right, so here's the latest. This is the NAM model. So the other model doesn't quite go out far enough to show you the Mid-Atlantic, but I think the NAM doing a pretty good job as well. Tomorrow, pretty good starting off the day. It's the afternoon that here comes the first burst of snow into West Virginia, southwestern Virginia. That could pile up into some snow there to start off the event. Then after that, a little bit of a dry spell. So you're going to get a quick burst of snow, I think, through Virginia, at least the southwestern part of the state, southern West Virginia. That's the leading edge of that warm front kind of extending out here, producing that lift and getting that snow going. South of there, North Carolina, South Carolina, all rain outside of the mountains. The mountains could see some ice out of this. Even the northern triad up near the Virginia line could start with some snow or ice. Then the warm nose kicks in and you get saved from a big winter weather event. Now, here's the evening and overnight of Sunday. This is when the core of the storm comes. Here's that center of circulation back over Kentucky, trying to push through the apps. We've got a heavy icing event into much of West Virginia, heavy snow in the northern half of the state, up into the Panhandle, Virginia, Northern Virginia into D.C., much of Maryland seeing snow, Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Harrisburg State College beginning to see the northern end of that snow shield work through overnight Sunday into Monday. And then here we go. This is when you're waking up on Monday. This is when your flight might be headed out. This is the problem we're going to run into. A big shield of snow accumulating quickly in Baltimore, D.C., southern New Jersey, Delaware. We've got that ice shield down here to the mountains of North Carolina and the mountains of southwestern Virginia. Still all dry down into Newport News and the coast of kind of the Rappahannock River there and down into the Tidewater. Looks pretty dry for your Monday morning. And then we get through the afternoon, and this is when the forecast gets tricky for DC. See this sleet? It gets awfully close to the city. I think Baltimore going to mainly stay snow. Philadelphia absolutely will stay all snow. Southern New Jersey looks to be mostly snow, but this little area of sleet, that's going to potentially cause problems during Monday afternoon, and that's what could cut down on the snowfall totals in DC. Just north of DC, I'm more skeptical we'll run into sleet. I think it'll be mostly a snow event that way. And same story up there into Philadelphia. Snow continuing Monday afternoon. Then a lull. You'll see another dry slot works through on the backside of the storm Monday afternoon. But then the upper level energy swings through behind the storm. So everything beforehand, that's all driven off of surface low pressure and our surface fronts. Then an upper level vort max, as we say in meteorology, swings on through. And you get another big burst of snow on the backside overnight Monday. So a long event. It starts overnight Sunday, arguably Sunday afternoon for some folks, cranks up through Monday, another little bit of a lull, and then another burst of snow on the backside overnight Monday into Tuesday. And this could come down hard and heavy through the Delmarva into DC, Baltimore, and potentially even into New Jersey as the storm pulls away. And then that leaves us with our snow and ice totals. Same thing, blend of models here. Biggest totals right through the heart of Maryland, I think. DC northbound into Baltimore. Watch for icing mixing in down here towards the District of Columbia. But I think by the time you get to Baltimore and up into southern New Jersey and Delaware, should really be an all snow event with maybe a little bit of mixing in, but mostly snow. And because of that, we're talking 6 to 8 plus inches. Some people getting 8 to 10 inches. And there is a slight chance somebody in here cracks a foot. Would not be impossible by any means. And then much lower totals as you get further south into Virginia throughout the rest of the storm's duration there. Kind of just mainly ice or just dry or rain even at some points the further south you get. Speaking of that ice, this is the ice forecast from the same blend of models. Pretty good totals into southwest Virginia and the northern mountains of North Carolina. Beech Mountain, Boone, up into Blacksburg, Roanoke. We're talking 1/10 of an inch or so. In some places a little bit more, up towards 1/4 of an inch. And then West Virginia as well, a state not mentioned a lot, but going to be a pretty good ice storm there for you folks as well. All right, folks, that's all I got for the first storm. Let me answer some questions for you. And then we'll start talking about the snow potential next week as we get towards next week. Yeah, I don't know what I was going to say there. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, here's a super chat question. Why do you use pivotal weather for some models but tropical tidbits for others? So the only reason I even use Pivotal Weather, well, one, it's a good site, but two, the university provides it. So it's not something I have to come out of pocket for, although I can guarantee my tuition more than enough is paying for it. And then Tropical Tidbits is also a great website. It's just kind of how they zoom in differently. So Tropical Tidbits, actually I can show you right now. Let me pull it up over here. This is a view Tropical Tidbits has. It shows the eastern U.S. nicely, and we're going to show this map in a second when we talk about the next storm. Pivotal Weather is much more zoomed in. It's either really zoomed out or zoomed in. So I like to use Tropical Tidbits whenever there's any sort of event that I need to zoom into kind of a more medium-sized area, I guess is the best way to word that. Good question, though. All right. Kimberly says, Gerald, do you still have Venmo? I have PayPal linked in the description under like the donate here. So anything that you want to contribute goes to helping buy my textbooks, which is about the time of the year with the new semester starting. So, don't feel pressured by any means, but would be very grateful. Plus or minus 4 inches for Jackson, New Jersey, Ocean County. Thanks, Gerald. A super chat there from Collecting Cardboard. Well, we can do that. Let's do again a little dive into the meteorology for Jackson, New Jersey. All right. Jackson, New Jersey, that is a little bit south of I-195, it looks like. For anybody wondering. So that's going to be a tough one. Let's see if we have any of those plumes that I was showing you earlier whenever I looked at that other city. Let's see if we can do that for Jackson as well. It's a little far north, so 4 inches just off the top of my head. I'm thinking probably I would take the under there. But let's look at some plumes. All right, so this is actually even a little north of there on this. This is for, I don't know what city I'm looking at. This is near Jackson, though, not far from it. And the models, you kind of, again, see the problem. Let me move it over just a little bit so you can see it a little bit easier, and then I'll move it back hopefully in a second. So over in the left, those are the numbers for what the models are showing. So some up here at the top are saying 14 inches of snow. Don't get your hopes up for that. But then some at the bottom are saying it's not going to snow at all in a place like that. 4 inches, that's basically right what the mean is at. So that's a good line to put. The mean is at 4.04. So you know what? I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, and I'll say slightly over. But I think 4 inches is a great forecast, though, for that city. So a great question. I always love I don't love gambling by any means, but I like kind of, putting an over-under on snowfall totals. That's always fun. All right, let's go back to answering some questions here, see what we got. Do you think Pittsburgh will get a winter storm watch, and how much snow are we expecting? From Liam Wolf. Pittsburgh, if you're not already in one, let me see, I guess you're not. Pittsburgh is just outside of the winter storm watch. I think a couple inches sneak into Pittsburgh. I think you'll probably get a winter weather advisory out of this one. Might not quite hit winter storm criteria, but I'd say like 2 to 4 inches in Pittsburgh. Probably a safe bet. Will Central Iowa get any big storms? Not in the near future. This one's going to miss you to the south. The next one's also probably going to miss you to the south, but it could trend that way, so we'll see. But the pattern right now, it's really cold, so it's hard to get snowstorms when much of the east is cold that far north. This is going to be more of a kind of southern snow pattern and into the mid-Atlantic northeast. I'm confused as to how much snow Portland, Indiana is getting. We're on a very fine line. Let me find out where Portland, Indiana is, and I can try to help you out there. Portland, Indiana. All right, that is, well, if, let's see if the map, we'll pull it up. So Portland's a little far north. You won't run into ice in Portland, but you might run into a lack of precipitation. So it's one of those things, if the storm's just a little further north than modeled, you could get 4, 5, 6 inches. Right now, you might be a little too far north for really much of anything. And that's a really tough forecast. Great question, though. I would say a couple of inches, but do not be surprised if you get absolutely nothing as well. It could be, like you said, a very fine line. So I think you kind of summed it up as well as I could have there. All right, we have another $5 super chat from Hey Peter. Love the channel, man. How's Evansville, Indiana look? I live 30 miles north in Fort Branch, and it looks like a tricky forecast. So Evansville gonna get some pretty good snow out of this. Fort Branch, if you're north of Evansville, probably gonna be even better. Well, I say pretty good snow in Evansville. It's gonna be more ice in Evansville, rather. Fort Branch, if you're 30 minutes north of there, I can see where that is on the map. Probably gonna be more of an ice event than anything for you. You could definitely get a couple of inches of snow on the backside though. So I'd say a good 2 to 4 inches, but mainly ice there. And it could cause a ton of problems. Any chance for Georgia to get any snow next weekend? Eastern Georgia, to be exact, around Augusta. Augusta's going to be a little far south, unfortunately. It could still trend better for Augusta, but it's gotten warmer on the models. All right, folks, again, if you're just now joining, go ahead and like the stream, subscribe if you haven't already. We are seeing really great growth on the channel the past little bit, so that's something I'm very grateful for and happy about. So definitely continue it up. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the next storm a little bit. This is one that, don't go anywhere, by the way, because this is one you're going to want to pay attention to as well. Here's the pattern on our models. Let me, again, refresh the page so it loads a little bit cleaner. This is the latest GFS from this evening. Here's the setup. I've been talking all about it on the channel. Kind of 3 big pieces of energy. One piece up here, this is providing the cold air that we need for snow. Piece number 2 down here, this is providing the storm energy we need to get low pressure. And piece number 3 is also providing storm energy. Now, what the models have trended to today is a merging of these 2 areas. It wants to kind of tangle them up and get one piece of energy and another piece of energy together, merge them, tangle them up, and get a huge snowstorm out of it. That's what the models have pointed to today. Will that happen? We will see. There's been a big uptick in the ensemble data as well, so that leads me to believe they're onto something, and you can see that on the GFS. If I throw this ahead into time, notice how this northern piece comes down, scoops up our Baja low. They spin up together. We've got this positively tilted trough over Texas by Friday morning. What I mean by that is just the orientation here. If I draw a line through it, see how it's tilted one way? That's a positively tilted trough. That's stage 1 for a mature cyclone to begin, at least in terms of upper level support. The next stage would be a neutrally tilted trough, meaning it's more north to south, and that's exactly what happens right here. By Saturday morning and afternoon, we then get the neutrally tilted trough. This would strengthen the storm. And then by the time it gets to the northeast, it becomes negative. And you see this guy right here, that little area of strong vorticity showing up, that is a strong signal for big upper level diffluence that could lead to very strong cyclogenesis at the surface or just a big storm to form, basically. That's what that tells me is the model is projecting. It's great that the model projects it. Will it actually happen? That's another question. But let's back it up. Let's show you the GFS run that I just showed you, but what it's showing in terms of surface precipitation. All right, this is Thursday morning, January 9th, less than a week out. We're talking, what, 5 days from now? It's got precipitation over Texas, showing some snow along the Red River Valley, and then it really blossoms the snow shield by overnight Thursday into Friday from Dallas into Tulsa. Little Rock has a big snowstorm, then gets into Tennessee. This is Friday morning, the 10th of January. Here's our low pressure down into Louisiana, bringing rain along the I-20 corridor, bringing snow along the I-40 corridor, and some snow even trying to get into upstate South Carolina on this model run as a classic kind of I-85 North event due to not a huge pocket of cold air that far south. But you'll see big snow in Indiana on the model, Illinois, Missouri, right through the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley. And then we get an icy mess, a snowy mess into the mid-Atlantic from North Carolina into Virginia. Changes back to rain in South Carolina by, this will be Friday evening, time above my head. You can see it there. And then the storm, looks to kind of undergo a little bit of transfer of energy, and we get some snow in the northeast, and then we get bombogenesis on this model a week from right now, next Saturday afternoon. Look at this. We go from basically no low pressure to a 988 millibar low as this upper level energy transfers to the coast. And that's a classic bomb cyclone that deepens all the way to 977 in like a 6-hour span, then to 970. And it's just a major blizzard, snowstorm, all out snowmageddon from Texas all the way up in the northeast. Now, take it with a grain of salt. That's one model run. Let me show you the European now. And it's very similar in the upper level presentation it gives. So I won't show you that map. I'll just show you kind of the model itself and what it's showing us at the surface here. So here we go. Big snowstorm into Texas. Same time. This is next Thursday evening. Dallas back into Abilene. And maybe even further south than that. We'll see. I'll show you the ensembles in a second. They show snow further south in the operational run. Red River Valley getting big snow. Arkansas, big snow by Friday early in the morning. Friday morning snow into Tennessee, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama. And it gets just a big snowstorm into the Ohio Valley. All rain just about for Georgia, South Carolina, snow in the mountains of North Carolina, icy mix in the foothills of South Carolina, that Pickens County, Greenville County, Oconee County, usual suspect corridor there. And then the warm air keeps on coming through. We get an ice storm along I-85 on this model run from the upstate into Charlotte, Greensboro, snow beginning in the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast. And then here comes the same thing. It looks like it's going to die out, but it's really just a transfer of energy. Here comes the coastal low. It begins to deepen, bombs out along the coast, and same story, a big-time blizzard in the Northeast. So, I say take it with a grain of salt, definitely do, but the models are showing agreement on a big snow system next week. Something they didn't have yesterday. This is the first day they've had agreement, so now the question is, do they keep it? And then kind of refining the details as we get closer into time. The ensembles, though, also look pretty good for snow. This is the European ensemble from this afternoon. Again, let me refresh the page so it loads a little bit quicker. This is our current snowstorm. Spoiler alert, it's going to snow. But then you see snow chances increase next week. Actually, this is the 18Z, so this gets us even a little bit. This is brand new data I haven't even looked at yet. So you see the uptick down here to Texas, and you notice the chance for snow above 50%. Heck, gets above 80% from Dallas and really just right through the heart of the state of Texas. This is Thursday into Friday. Snow chances increase into Arkansas, even extreme northern Louisiana. And then that's as far out as the 18Z run goes. But you see the stage being set here for a potential big-time winter storm. And we'll switch it back to the afternoon run so we can go further out into time. Here it is. We'll pick up where we left off. That big snow signal gets into the Tennessee Valley, the Ohio Valley, into the Mid-Atlantic, I-85 north even into the Carolinas, and then up into the Northeast. Now, I'll tell you, as somebody who lives in Charlotte, I am not too excited about this storm. I don't see big snow, Greenville, Spartanburg, Atlanta, Birmingham, Raleigh, Charlotte, Columbia. I don't see a big snowstorm down here. Ice potentially, especially kind of GSP up to Charlotte, Raleigh, the Triad, places like that. Columbia, unfortunately, I just don't see this one being a big one. Could we trend that way? Still could, but the afternoon data today, not promising for you down that way. Same story for Atlanta, Birmingham, and Jackson. Looks a lot less likely to be your storm. It looks to be more of an I-85 north event. Heck, maybe even more of an I-40 north event here through the Mid-South. So definitely still southern snow either way. GFS ensembles, show you the same map. Let me refresh the page once more. Here we go, snow signal down into Texas. Not quite as big on the GFS. Well, actually, let me switch it to the 18Z. We have new data, so let me show you the new data. Not as big of a snow signal in Texas, but you get the idea. There is a signal for a storm. A big explosion of snow chances through Appalachia, North Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, the Virginias, into the Ohio Valley, and then a pretty good snowfall chances up into the Northeast out of this storm system. And then, whatever may come after that will be what it is. So, okay, so that's a second storm. Let me now go back, read some questions, and let you look at this wonderful iced up camera in Kansas. Let's see where we left off. Could the storm still go north for Chicago? Probably not this one. Yeah, you're kind of out of it in Chicago, unfortunately. How much snow in Arkansas next week? Too soon to give you exact details, but especially, I won't say one specific part of Arkansas, but I think someone in Arkansas is going to get a good snow. Probably that 3 to 6 plus range is what the models are pointing at right now. Do I think there's going to be anything in Missouri? Well, the storm right now, absolutely. It's a big winter storm next week. And the models show it right now. So it's an okay bet to make. I wouldn't be disappointed with a bet like that. When will Michigan see actual snow? They're getting more snow south of us. Yeah, I know that's annoying, Devin. Trust me. Well, we've had plenty of lake effect. Outside of the lake effect, I don't see a signal right now for a big snowstorm in Michigan. We'll see what the rest of the month holds for sure. Great job on the channel. Can you give me an idea of what the I-95 corridor from Richmond, Virginia to DC will look like Monday and Tuesday? Trying to time my work commute. So Monday morning, we can go back to that map. Let me find wherever I have it hidden in here. All right, let's show it to you. So Monday and Tuesday. This is Monday morning, right around the time the sun is coming up. I think mainly rain the further south you get, but once you get closer to DC in Northern Virginia, you're going to run into snow problems during the morning and the evening commute. Although it could dry up a little bit by the night, but there would have already been snow that has fallen at that point. So you could maybe time it, but you're going to run into snow and ice no matter what as you get further north into Virginia. How much snow in Jackson, New Jersey? Let me again pull up the old phone and find out where that is. Sorry, I just got a text message I was reading. Probably not the best streamer etiquette, right? All right, Jackson, New Jersey is basically right where the other town was that we talked about. So I think probably 2 to 4 inch event there. Could be a little bit higher than that. Could be a bit higher than that, actually, I would say. But that's a tough forecast. You're on the fine line between no snow to your north and big snow to your south. New York over under 2 inches. New York City, I'd take the under on 2 inches. Anything else on Blacksburg, Virginia? Some totals. I just want a big snow. First storm is going to be a nice problem. Second storm, just too soon to know. You're in the line of it, though. So, it could be a big snow. We'll see as we get closer. Will there be a snowstorm in Dallas? The models today say yes. Could trim back the other way. We will see. But it's looking pretty good for Dallas to get something. Alrighty, folks. Well, we went about an hour or so, and to be completely honest with you, I'm getting a little tired. It's been a long day. We had a morning video, an evening video, a night live stream, and the pattern is only beginning. Before I get off, though, I do want to talk a little bit about my plans for the next week or two. So I'll be here continuing to cover the storm from this chair right here in Charlotte, North Carolina for the next week or so. But next Friday, I have a flight from Charlotte to New Orleans. I mentioned this a little bit at the earlier part of the stream for a meteorology conference. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be good to connect with other meteorologists. But that does mean there's a very high likelihood I'm going to miss the actual storm when it's happening next week, whatever it may be. So I'll keep you up to date from now all the way through next Friday morning. Then I'll be gone for all of Saturday, all of Sunday, and hopefully I can get back in time on my flight for a Monday evening video. If that doesn't happen, I'll be back that Tuesday, the 14th. That's also when classes start for me. So I've got a busy month ahead, just a busy life. So I do appreciate the growth, though. I also just want to say that it's been pretty incredible. My channel's gone from like 11,000 to now almost 24,000 subscribers just since the middle of November, and it's just crazy to see. And I know people like talking about snow. I like talking about snow. So yeah, just want to say thanks to everyone for that, and like the stream if you haven't, so more people kind of get notified about it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and y'all have a terrific night. I'll see you all tomorrow morning with another update.